You remember?
Yeah,
What is it?
about man 12 million years ago and where we've evolved to, and it's
Okay,
violent.
thank you. The title was Love,
Oh,
the Foundation of Humanity. And I asked you to do a couple little homework assignments last week, and probably the most important was to ask yourselves, what is your foundation? Is it love? Is it survival? At least ponder it, see if you come up with anything. And then I thought, well, I need to talk about love and continue that because there's a lot to talk about. And then this month is Black History Month, which kind of hits home with me. So I'm going to talk about that too. And I found that I had questions, and I think as a society we have a lot of questions about racism and about love. I have a picture. I don't know if you can all see it. These little brown children, black children. Those are my grandchildren. They lived here in California for 6 years. They just moved back to Ohio about a year ago. I always considered myself to be non-prejudicial, not have any racism. And then I had 4 grandchildren who were biracial. I immediately had deep concerns about what they are going to face in their lives. I always considered the plight of people of color, people of different ethnic origins. But now it's personal. When these youngsters came here to live, I tried to teach them some things. I hired them all, their very first job. I tried to teach them a work ethic, taking pride in their work. They made money. I helped them open savings accounts. But I think the most important objective result for everything I tried to teach those young people was to embrace and build up their self-esteem. Because as much as I like it to be different, I know that my grandchildren are going to face an entire lifetime of discrimination, of dominance, of inequality. And the only thing they have to fall back on is their self-esteem, because it's going to be beaten down by our society for probably their entire lives. This last weekend we had a memorial yesterday. And Friday evening, I met a young boy named Mike. Mike's about 9 years old. His mother looks like my daughter, and Mike looks like my grandchildren. And yesterday afternoon, as they were cleaning up after the memorial, Mike and I had a discussion, a talk. It seems that at 9 years old, Mike is an iPhone wizard. I recently got an iPhone, much to my resistance. I don't use it. It sits on my desk so I can have internet. I tried to make a call on it once. I had to call somebody. It took me 20 minutes to learn how to turn it on. It took me another 30 minutes to find the keypad and the phone thing. Mike is going to help me learn my iPhone. Now, Ward has been telling me for years, I'll teach you how to do that. But I decided that my assignment was twofold. Number one, I better learn some technological advancement. I just need to do that. But more importantly, I have an opportunity to allow Mike to share his talent and his knowledge, and an opportunity to elevate and affirm his self-esteem. As I look at the people of color in this country, in the world, but especially in this country, my country, your country, I'm just appalled. For 140, 50 years now, there's been a movement toward civil rights and equality, equal justice. Quite frankly, it hasn't come very far. There's been some legislation, selective enforcement of that legislation. But the discrimination, the domination, the inequality exists. And I am confounded by the people of color in this country. After that long a struggle, to have come no farther than they have come. I don't understand why they haven't blown up all the police departments. Really? If somebody stripped us of our equal rights, us superior white folks, we'd burn the place down. We'd pick up a gun. But they have not. And I don't know, and I really don't know, this is a question, maybe you all want to ponder it. I don't know if they still have this feeling of supreme domination and forced compliance, or maybe they actually heard what Martin Luther King said and saw the wisdom in nonviolence and commitment. Maybe they actually listened to John Lewis. Read this quote with me, the first one. You have to have the capacity and the ability, what people did and how they did it. I think we need to listen to that too, folks. And what's going on in our world, fighting and grumbling and complaining and raising Cain, we have to have the capacity to accept what is done and how it's done and move on and work at creating something better. And that has to come from a place of love. And Martin Luther King's quote, it talks about his I Have a Dream speech in Washington. That was like 50 years ago. He said, we haven't a minute to lose. That's more true today than it was then. And it's not about the color of your skin or your ethnicity or your religious beliefs. It's about the fundamental existence of humanity. This thing called love. There's not a person in this room that can accurately describe it in its entirety. It's beyond description. Some people think, well, it's what you feel. It is. But I think it's much more. It's on acceptance. It's about forgiveness. Way much about forgiveness. It's not only other people, ourselves as well. And love is not something you just think about and talk about. It's a hands-on activity. It's your actions, your expressions. It's what you say. It's how you treat people, how you accept people. How you stop judging people. I think each one of us can spend a lot of time this week focused on one sentence. And that sentence is the last quote on the page. Let's read it together. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Love is the divine. It's present everywhere. That harmony in which every living thing, every part of our universe, the planets, the seas, the rivers, the bugs, and people, they were all designed to coexist in an uncanny level of harmony. We can too. We can exist with each other in harmony. We can exist with our environment in harmony. If we just find what's blocking it. What thoughts, what habits, what opinions, what actions do each one of us have that block us from that love flow, that love activity, that compassion, that empathy, that acceptance? It's within us. That's where the blockage happens. The flow of love, the flow of abundance, the flow of friendship, the flow of understanding. We are our own worst enemies. Love is everywhere. We are the ones who block it. And I say that collectively, not personally. That's our assignment, is to find out what old ideas, opinions, beliefs that we have that block us from truly loving every creature in our surround. That's a huge assignment. But every one of us can work on it and have success to whatever degree. You take one small step forward. You unblock one little tiny spot of resistance in the way you think about things, the way you perceive things. You have had a success experience. And the consciousness and the amount of love flowing through this universe has increased. And your life will be richer, more successful, have greater self-esteem, love of your own self. There's not a person in this room that doesn't detest parts of themselves. And I bank all the money that I have in my pocket on that statement. So why do we do that? What about that self-esteem that I'm so concerned about my grandchildren and young Mike? And you. What about that? Could that use a little dusting off? Could it use a little affirmation? We've all made mistakes and done some really dumb stuff. I probably got the longest list of dumb stuff of anybody in here. That's part of the life experience. That's part of the learning process. And if we can look at it that way, instead of feeling guilty or less than, and add it to our self-esteem. I've lived through some of the dumbest, craziest stuff a human being could ever do, and I learned a lot from it. And I feel better about myself because I lived through all that dumb stuff. I made all those not very good decisions. I feel that I'm more compassionate, that I'm more accepting, that I'm able to tap into more of the divine love that fills me up, that I keep bottled, a lot of it, so much of it bottled up inside. All of us do. Not done talking about love. I'm going to talk about it a lot. Little update. I never got Rand's book until Thursday evening, but I started reading it. And quite frankly, it's one of those books because it has hypothesis to it. The authors find it very necessary, and I suppose there's a legitimacy to it, a legal thing. But they quote and give mention to every anthropologist, every neuropsychologist, every neurophysicist, after every chapter, there's like 6 or 8 or 10 pages of notes. And I think that adds affirmation to the hypotheses that they're creating. I'm not so sure it's an exciting read, but I think the wisdom that I have felt and gained from this is fantastic. So it's a $35 book. I don't know if you want to buy it or not, but I'm definitely going to give a class about the hypothesis of this book. Creating a system of societies based on partnership and love and nurturing, rather than the societies that are most prevalent in the world today that are based on domination and force and violence. We have the power to create such societies. Probably not in my lifetime, probably not in yours. But if we don't begin the process, pretty soon there won't be any reason to. The course that humanity is on at this point is not sustainable. It just isn't. The course is on domination and consumption, and neither one are sustainable to life as we know it. So I'm not telling you don't buy the book. If you've got $35, it's a great read. It's astounding. It's kind of boring and dry because you got to hear about every one of these people that ever wrote a book on these subjects. But the hypothesis, the ideas that they share are life-altering. I'm sure of it. So it's going to take me a little while to get through it and set this course up, but it is going to happen. I don't think we have a choice here. Like Martin Luther King said, we don't have a minute to lose. And the thing is, we have the wherewithal to bring this type of society, this type of awareness of the unseen, of God, of spirit. We have the wherewithal to bring that about, to raise the consciousness of this thing called spirit, of love, of compassion, of partnership, sustainable life. We have the wherewithal to bring it about. At the very least, start the process in a very noticeable way. So I invite each of you to think about love, thinking about your own discriminatory opinions that you have. Please don't say you don't have them. I work at not having them. I have black grandchildren, and when I look at them, I say, I have black grandchildren. Why must I keep saying that? Their lives, their kids. I may never be able to break that conditioning, that labeling thing out of my consciousness. I've been trying. For 18 years I've been trying, and I haven't gotten there yet, but I haven't stopped trying. Love. We can't describe it. But my friends, we can't live without it. And that is truth. And so it is. Let's stand up and sing. I am